They got 5 kids today. They had 3 small children. And he said, Daddy, I need your help. This is on a Saturday morning, probably at 7 o'clock. And I said, what on earth is going on? He said, I don't know what happened in my garage last night, but his garage was attached to the house. And he said, half of my house is flooded. Something broke out of where the laundry room is broke. And he said, I need some help. And so I tore out to Mesquite where they were living. And about 7:30 or 8 o'clock, I got up there. We spent all day long taking all that old carpet out and just leaving the concrete and fans drying it all out. Have you ever been there before? Oh my, so I was worn to a frazzle. Well, it was about 7 o'clock in the evening when I left up there and started back. And I got to where it was called Carl's Corner Truck Stop.
Yep. Billy Nelson.
And my tonsils were eating on my gizzard, my stomach, and I was so hungry. And I seen a big sign, Carl's Corner Buffet, all you can eat for something. I said, man, I'm going in there. And so I walked in, and it was in the back, and it had a great big room, probably 5 or 6 times as big as your auditorium. And there was like a circular bar with those little stools you can sit on and they spin around. And so I picked out one, and nobody was here and here. So I'm sitting here, and I make my order, or I went and got the buffet, and I came back, I was sitting there eating, and catty-corner was a guy about this size, right in line with me. And every time this little waitress would come out, he was catcalling and just making all these, thumping her on the rear. Well, I'm from Mississippi and I'm a country boy. And I looked at him and I said, where I come from, we don't do that to ladies. And boy, he just turned red-faced. I thought to myself, I'm gonna have a fight. And I ain't never backed down from a fight in my life, but I mean, he said, what are you, some kind of preacher? I said, as a matter of fact, I am. And I don't know where all these words, and I just said, and I heard him call it, I said, Mike, he said, Big Mike. I said, well, Big Mike, it's like this. I'd like for you to know Jesus. If you ever came to know the Messiah that I know, you would never, ever do what you've been doing. He needs to come into your heart and change your life. And he just kind of dropped his head and got up and went to the restroom. And I thought, well, I'm going to leave. And I thought he had gone to the restroom, but he had gone outside and was waiting on me. And I got outside. If you've ever been to Carl's Corner where you pull your vehicles up, it's like an old-timey, every car space, instead of the little brick things you pull up to, it was like a hitching post. Yeah. And he had his leg up on the hitching post like this. And he was waiting on me. I said, uh-huh. And I walk over to him. And I said, Big Mike, what's on your heart? He said, you don't know anything about me, but where I come from, I'm a long hauler. Don was a long hauler. Don, I don't remember what part of the north he was from, but he said, my wife is the sweetest Christian woman. She's been putting up with me all of these years and praying for me, and that little church has been praying for me. And I've never had anybody to share what you just shared with me. He said, can you tell me how to ask Jesus into my heart? Wow. I said, yes, sir. So he put his hands, big old hands, up over the post. And I took mine and put it on top of it like that. I said, Mike, just repeat after me. Dear God, he said, dear God, I know that I'm a sinner. I know that I'm a sinner. I know if I died tonight, I'd go to hell. I know if I died tonight, I'd go to hell. But I don't want to go to hell. I want to go to heaven. And he repeated that. The best way I know how I want to ask Jesus to come into my heart, forgive me my sins, and give me a home in heaven. And he prayed that prayer. And he came around and gave me that big old bear hug. And he said, "Sir, thank you so much." And he left. And I watched Joe and get in the big rig and pull out of the parking lot. And I just stayed there and prayed for a few minutes. 3 or 4 weeks later, and I was going to bring that little letter and pass it around tonight. I've got it in my study somewhere. It was from the pastor of the little church where his wife attended all these years, and all those prayer warriors that were praying for Big Mike. And the letter said simply, and I'd given him my little business card, "Pastor Sullivan, thank you so much for leading Big Mike to the Lord. I baptized him this morning." And the whole congregation wept because Mike came home. I don't know where you are tonight, but I do know this: God is real. He's the same yesterday, today, and forever. I don't know what you've been into, what you've been involved in, but God loves you right where you are. If he could forgive me and cleanse my life up and give me a heart for God today, he can do it for you. If you've been running from God, he's as close as a whisper. He knows where you are. There are a lot of lost folks out there. I promise you, if you'll learn that phrase I gave you, have you ever come to a place in your spiritual life where you know for certain that if you died today, you'd go to heaven? And I prayed over this young man that I witnessed to 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I shared that with him. And all our job is to open our mouth and speak the truth of the Word of God. And God promises that when we do that, his Spirit will convict them because of truth. God's Word is truth. So you share the truth of the Word of God with them and leave the rest to the Spirit of God. He's very powerful. He's the third person of the Trinity. That's like saying, down in Mississippi we'd say sick 'em. That's like telling the Holy Spirit sick 'em. And watching God come into their heart and change their heart. I'm so glad you're here tonight. Thank you for listening to me.
Thank you.
Thank you for the invitation to come and be a part. Yeah, a lot of churches that I've called are praying for this church tonight, praying for me as I preach. What you heard tonight was not me. I promise you, it was all God. I stuttered when I was little growing up. You know what a stuttering problem is? And I had a voice teacher that I was privileged to be with in the 2nd grade. And she said, "Larry, can I start? I'll call you mother. I want to start meeting with you after school." I couldn't say one sentence without repeating it 2 or 3 times and stuttering. How in the world was I able to pastor and preach for over 40 years? God. It's all God. He's still in the miracle business, in the healing business. In the Hebrew, it's God. Another name for God is God Jehovah, or Jehovah Rophi. It means our God heals, and he's still in that business today. If your heart needs healing, your body needs healing, whatever the situation is, God's in charge. He knows where we are. Thank you so much.